we're excited to have, and I forgot how to pronounce her name, so she'll have to tell me because I don't know if it's Asia or what, but she is the owner of the Protagonist Black Bookstore in, where is your bookstore? Fontana, California. Is that Northern California or Southern California?
It is SoCal, more specifically the Inland Empire, so about an hour east of Los Angeles.
Okay, and how do you pronounce your first name?
Aysia.
Aysia. Okay. Aysia. Well, welcome, Aysia, to Black Authors Matter TV, and congratulations on opening your bookstore. I think I read about it opening. Did you open recently? Did you
Thank you
hear?
so much. It's wonderful to be here. This is super cool. I'm very excited.
Okay. Now, did your bookstore open recently?
So, Protagonist Black has been open for almost a year. We launched Juneteenth of last year.
Okay.
That was our first weekend, and we have been off to the races ever since.
Okay, that's a good launch pad. Is deciding when to launch. It should be strategic in some way, and that's a good, because you can make your launch, if it's Juneteenth, you can make it a Juneteenth holiday activity. For people. So now you're in Hawaii right now.
I am. So sorry for the time zone confusion. I'm 3 hours behind my usual Pacific time. So it's been an odd few days. I am in Oahu attending the National Conference on Race and Education. I work in higher education in my other life. I'm a sociologist by training. So I'm out here doing some professional development.
And enjoying the scenery. I haven't been to Hawaii. I think Rhonda has though. Have you been, Rhonda?
Yeah, Hawaii is beautiful.
Yeah, I've heard it's gorgeous. Just looking at the pictures, I mean, the video and the pictures is gorgeous. So that's on my list of places to go. I haven't been yet. So now, what made you name your bookstore Protagonist Black? Well, Protagonist and then Black, but the two together.
Protagonist is Black? I thought that's the way I read it.
No, it's Protagonist Black.
It's Protagonist Black.
Like, I read it wrong.
But the protagonist could be Black too.
Right, and we are very interested in Black protagonists. So we specialize in culturally diverse books and cocktail pairings. That's our whole thing. Everything in our collection is written by a person of color with the emphasis on Black authors and creators. So when I had this idea, I was like, I want to, bring this up to my husband. I want to go for it. I want to launch this thing. But I am a big marketing nerd, if you will. So I'm like, I only want to do it if it has a cool name. I said, God, if it's meant to be, give me a cool name for it. It'll come to me. I'm not going to search for it. And I was washing my hair. It was wash day, and it popped into my brain, Protagonist Black, and it's central to the work that we do because it's important to us that Black folks can see themselves in all genres at all ages. When I was a kid, it was difficult to find books by Black authors, right? And as I was curating a library for my kids, we live in a book desert. It was hard to find books by Black authors. The only stores we had were Barnes and Noble, and the closest independent bookstores were 40 minutes in opposite directions. And so those indie bookstores were the ones curating, the things that we wanted for our kids. So I wanted it to be very clear from the moment that the customers interacted with us, what we stood for, what we were all about. I wanted our folks in the culture to be able to see themselves as soon as they arrived in the space or as soon as they interacted with our website, our marketing, our socials. And, it's short for, well, when you shorten it, it becomes pro-Black, which is what we are, which is what we're all about. And so Protagonist Black was born on Wash Day.
I like pro-Black. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. You can
shorten.
So,
and I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it now. is it a requirement that every author sold in your store is Black, or that every book have a Black protagonist? So let's say there's a non-Black author who has a Black protagonist. Are they in the bookstore as well, or is this purely for Black authors?
So everything in our store is written by a person of color. The majority of the works that we curate are by Black authors, but I believe in transparent representation. I think that the best folks to tell our stories are us. And so I am very careful not to put things in the store that are just optically representative, but are authentically from our community. That's very important to me. And so when we are picking out books to stock, when we're recommending titles, it's always going to be by a person of color. With the exception, there is one book that doesn't meet the rule. It's called The Marathon Don't Stop by Rob Kenner, and it's a biography of Nipsey Hussle, who is also very important to our community. And that's just a story that we had to amplify and share. So that's the one exception to the rule, but everything else in Protagonist Black is written by folks of color.
Mm-hmm. You know, that reminded me of something. I had to constantly block and tackle on our Facebook page because we have a lot of followers, but we have uh, stalkers or trollers or whatever you want to call it. And they'll leave a snarky remark, or sometimes they'll leave a stupid remark. Um, and one lady said, why do you have to have the name Black? This was for the National Black Book Festival. Why do you have to have the name Black, the word Black in the name? Because it shouldn't matter. This is a white person. And she said, I don't care about the race of the author. Well, she really does, but she won't admit it because it's not an issue for her. If we want to read, and this is what I said, and I also with those people, I end up blocking them and then deleting their comments. But because if they don't want to see our information, I don't want them to see our information. That's my position on it. But I told her because we want to. That's it, period. That's it. I mean, we can do whatever we want.
I had a person who responded when we were sending out our email blast about our Black History Month literary weekend. Somebody decided that, I don't even know how he ended up on my email list, but whatever. But he decided to email me back and say, well, what about, he goes, I have an idea. What about an all-American weekend? Stop separating the races. And you know, that's not what Black History Month is all about. That's not what Black Authors Matter TV is all about.
No,
But
absolutely not. Because we've had non-Black people on the show, but we are unapologetic about our goal. And it's to amplify Black authors and Black literature in the whole sphere of it. And we don't apologize for it, period. And we won't, and we shouldn't have to. But then somebody will say, what if I wanted to put on a National White Book Festival? And I said, you already have a number of them. They just don't have the word white in the name. It's not, they're 99% white. They might invite one Black person or two. So just because you don't put it in the name doesn't mean it's not the reality.
All of this to say is that you know, you're going to have the hate comments, you're going to have the hate questions, but when you are strong in your beliefs and your platform and what you are trying to do, then you can actually hold fast to that. So I love the fact, I love the name Protagonist Black, and calling it pro Black. I mean, I think it's beautiful.
And so I said that, I told that story to
Thank you so
tell
much.
people. Sometimes you can just tell people because I want to, period. That's it. End of conversation. I don't have to justify anything to anybody, you know. That's why we pay for our Zoom and we pay for our Facebook. We know we're not beholding to anybody. And if anybody's offended, then let me block you. So then you won't have to see it if it offends you. And I do block. I'm constantly blocking and tackling every, just all kinds of stuff. The spammers, the scammers, people trying to get us, get our passwords. People just posting their books over and over and over. Now, if somebody posts it once in a comment, okay. But if you're going to every post we do and putting your book, you will be blocked. Because you're not allowed to do that. So anyway, I wanted to encourage you to let your store be what you want it to be and be the best at that.
Yeah, I think that we've been lucky and intentional about curating a really amazing community. And we are so clear and steadfast in our vision for the shop that you can't really question it. It's not a space for you. I think that all are welcome, but we celebrate what we celebrate and we're unapologetic about that. I think it is a very lucky accident of birth to not have had to think critically about your community. And so for people who ask, why do you need these spaces? Why does it have to be called this or that? I think that it's an opportunity for them to examine why they haven't had to do that, and what that means for their existence and their identity, and be open. So many of our customers who are not folks of color are open to dialogue, and I think that's because we set clear, unapologetic parameters. Like, it is what it is. You can't really attack it because we stand on business about it. Right out the gate. But
Yeah.
the Facebook trolls are crazy. I hope y'all figure out how to get them out.
There you go. Well, tell
They
us a bit
pop up every week.
about the store. How is it set up? Do you have book signings? Do you have events at your store?
Yeah, so we operate primarily as a pop-up. So we pop up all over the place between the Los Angeles area and the Inland Empire where we are. And even beyond that, we kind of go where we're called. We are, building our reputation in our community, and folks request us out to their special events. So we get to travel and meet a amazing customer base that way. We also have a shared retail space within a nonprofit called the African American Advisory Alliance in Pomona, California, where folks can shop with us during the week. And that is an amazing, amazing organization to be a part of. It's a community center with these mini stores, if you will, called anchors, all Black owned businesses, and folks can come and shop with all of us. And we throw a lot of programs out of that space. One of our most popular events has been our Reading on the Rocks Spirited Book Fair. It is a grown-up book fair like the one you remember from elementary school, but leveled up for grown-ups with cocktails and music and art. It's a complete vibe. We have a time every time. We do that quarterly. We also have a Friends of the Shop program, which is our way of supporting our local independent authors. They are allowed to, well, not, I won't say allowed, but they are welcome to come and table at our events and sell their books directly to our customer base, which has been amazing. So there's so much talent in our area. And being able to highlight some of those folks in our spaces has been very cool. So yeah, we do events quarterly. We do have signings. And we have a couple different ways folks can shop with us in person and online.
Now, how many days a week are you open?
During the week, Tuesday through Friday, and pop-ups, the schedule can vary, but every Saturday at our local farmers market, and then Sundays as invited. So we'll often do special events on Sundays.
Oh, that's probably a great way to network during the farmers markets.
Definitely, definitely. So we try to challenge ourselves to be in spaces where bookstores typically aren't, because that was the whole point of us starting it. And so we've been able to get connected with schools and offer our services to libraries and groups doing professional development and diversity, equity, and inclusion work. And so it's been a really cool way to kind of test where we want our permanent store to land when it's time for the full brick and mortar to open.
Okay. I was just sitting here thinking about, when we have the word Black in our names of our events or our stores or whatever, some of that is so our customers can find us. Otherwise, how would they,
Mhm.
if they're looking for something culturally specific, they need to be able to find it. And the way they can find it is in the name. And so, you know, that's otherwise you just one of, what, it's marketing. When you market, you need to know your audience and you need to be able to identify them and make it easy for them to find you. That's part of selling. It's part of promoting. And so I don't see that changing. You
Yeah.
know, there was at some point there was the hope of I won't call it colorblind, but that race wouldn't matter. Okay, that I think people maybe thought that or maybe they hoped that, but it's culture matters. You just People don't give up. The Irish didn't give up St. Patrick's Day. They assimilated, but they still kept their stuff. And so, you know, the Mexicans still celebrate Cinco de Mayo. And so, and it's culture. So you shouldn't have to give up your culture to assimilate. You can assimilate the portion that you want. And that's all part of being a free American. So,
I
Asia,
I think
huh?
building community, I think the building of community is key. I think that the way that we build community is by not only seeing our differences and noticing them, but then affirming them and being accepting of them. You can't truly value me as a human, as a person, if you don't see all of who I am. So I
Right.
am radically against folks seeking color blindness as their
Right.
way
Saying
to,
they don't see color. They're telling stories. They're
right.
not
It's like,
being
why
truthful.
to erase me in that way.
Right.
That's honoring who I am. And
I'm
so,
just a watered down blob.
exactly. And so I think I'm a DEI practitioner. And so I think a lot and I ask folks who do my workshops and things to think a lot about the identities that precede them when they go into a room. And for me, Blackness is always going to be at the top of that list, followed by being a woman. And then everything else after that, right? So the way that folks perceive me, the way that I navigate the world is with those two lenses first. So of course, when you come into me and my Black husband's shop, it's gonna be very, very blackety black because yeah, we are who we are.
Well, congratulations on taking that giant leap to have a
Thank
bookstore.
you.
As people know that watch the show, my husband and I had a brick and mortar from 2000 to 2010, and so we went through all the challenges and the joys, and you have to do a lot of keeping your ear to the ground and listening to your customers. It's very important, and keeping your overhead as low as possible. Well, we're at the end of our interview time. Just tell people again the name of your store and where it's located.
Yes, the name of my store is Protagonist Black. If you follow us on Instagram at Protagonist Black, you will be able to see everywhere that we plan to be, everywhere that we're going, everywhere that we are currently. You can shop with us online, www.protagonistblack.com. My name is Aysia Brown. My co-founder is my husband, Kevin Brown, and we can't wait to have y'all shop with us.
Okay, and
And
so
thank you so much for having me.
you're welcome. Enjoy the rest of your time in Hawaii.
Thank you.
Thank you.